Everybody, welcome to the True Life News Show today. Excuse me. Excuse me. Trump and Elon are now fighting. Guys, this is so shocking. They're now fighting their own party, and it's bad. It's literally blowing my mind right now that there is a coalition of Republicans who are fighting Trump outright to take over negotiations with the Democrats and the world on Trump's agenda. Representative Don Bacon, who is a Republican out of Nebraska, is leading a bipartisan bill to block Trump from instituting tariffs and retake the power for Congress. Bacon told reporters that he didn't like the thought of waging a trade war with the entire world. Trump said in return, and then I see some rebel Republicans, some guy who wants to grandstand, say, I think that Congress should take over negotiations. Let me tell you, you don't negotiate like I negotiate, and we would be losing if you were the negotiators. Trump is downright, guys, doing an amazing job right now because he has a backbone of steel. Congress got us to this point where America is being screwed over right now, and Trump is actually fixing it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, in the chat, guys. Now that we are seeing these Republicans come out that are trying to fight against Trump from his agenda, what do you think should happen to them? What's even more crazier is that more threats are coming out against Elon, not now that he has outright called Chuck Schumer for profiting from government fraud, where they are now seeking more protection for Elon Musk to even include the FBI. And not only him, the FBI is seeking agents to temporarily guard Deputy Director, our boy, Dan Bongino, a pro-Trump appointee who is now the Secret Service Deputy Director. The FBI Deputy Director. But right now, the Bureau is asking to protect Bongino 24/7 on top of protecting Trump and Elon Musk, again, 24/7 on 30-day rotations. They said this is not normal, but because of the threats, we need up to 20 agents needed to protect these people each. Guys, this is getting crazy. This is getting serious because think about it like this. Every one of Trump's closest people is getting threatened, and we now know, since they did a survey, that literally 55% of leftists believe it's justifiable to take out Trump, Elon, and his team. They literally outright said that, guys. We have the data and the receipts to show you. So right now, it is a dangerous time in America for these America First patriots. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Put it in the chat. What the heck is going on right now? This isn't right. When we have people that say it's right, 55% justifiable to take somebody's, especially like our president's life or his cabinet team's life, this is messed up. We got a lot of things going on today, guys. A lot of breaking news. Want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, to all of our subscribers, guys, to all of our viewers. Thank you so much. If you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family here at True Life News. We want to serve you every day with the top news. And guys, thank you so much for your support with being a member of the channel. Guys, remember that we give this money back to charity on the 22nd of every single month. I want to say thank you so much for your support, and thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation. We are truly grateful for your support. I got to give some love already, guys. Betsy Bernardo, Richard Williams, Gary Panette. Y'all show them some love in the chat. Guys, this is a big, big day, guys. The stock market is doing great. Trump's tariffs are working. But we got Republican rhinos that are stepping in, trying to block Trump with new bills from doing what his plan is. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support, guys, because this is getting nuts. Check this out.
Remember that giant sucking sound?
We have got to stop sending jobs overseas. To those of you in the audience who are business people, pretty simple. If you're paying $12, $13, $14 an hour for factory workers, and you can move your factory south of the border, pay $1 an hour for labor, have no health care, that's the most expensive single element in making a car, have no environmental controls, no pollution controls, and no retirement, and you don't care about anything but making money, there will be a giant sucking sound going south.
They called Ross Perot crazy, but after 30 years, they call him right. Bubba was wrong. He signed NAFTA, and the giant sucking sound came from the South. And then he signed the China deal, and the giant sucking sound came from the East. There were a lot of sucking sounds in the 90s, and Chuck was fed up.
We are fed up, Mr. President. The Chinese should play by the rules once and for all.
Wow.
But how can we stand by as millions of American workers lose their jobs, as thousands of American companies can't compete fairly? No one seeks political advantage.
Guys, are you even kidding me? If you changed the voice and it made it to sound like Donald Trump, you would think that Donald Trump is speaking right now. This does not sound like our Chuck Schumer that we know today. What this sounds like is a patriot. But what we're seeing now is whenever the money gets involved, like what I'm about to show you next, guys, because they're calling them out, and they even said they got evidence, guys. This is huge. What I'm about to show you, that's whenever they became corrupt.
What we seek, rather, is fairness. Fairness in trade.
The party that represented workers, the Democrats, immediately recognized the giant sucking sound was bad for workers, but good for donors. Wall Street got rich off the giant sucking sound, and so did Pelosi, Hillary, Kerry, Gore, all of them. So they talked about it to win votes, but didn't do anything about it, and turned China into a monster, their monster.
I worked at a factory, went to factory in 1989. We made radial passenger tires for cars. I worked there with my dad, 8 of my uncles, and 12 of my cousins. I was a union steward there. That plant now sits in China because you can import small radial passenger tires pretty cheap because of our failed trade policy in this Democrats' opinion.
Detroit, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, St. Louis, Milwaukee, I could go on and on. They traded jobs and honor for cheap phones and TV screens. Trump's declaring an end to the giant sucking sound and decided to slay the monster.
Countries like China, who have chosen to retaliate and try to double down on their mistreatment of American workers, are making a mistake. President Trump has a spine of steel, and he will not break. And America will not break under his leadership.
Yes.
When America is punched, he punches back harder. That's why there will be 104% tariffs going into effect on China tonight at midnight.
So when the clock strikes midnight tonight, the battle begins. China will be hit with triple-digit tariffs. The export menace should have never retaliated. Trump believes he has the cards and likes his chances.
Trump has maximum negotiating leverage right here, right now. And I think it would be a mistake for anyone to think otherwise. I think it was a big mistake, this Chinese escalation. If you look at the history of the trade negotiations, we are the deficit country. So what do we lose by the Chinese raising tariffs on us? We export 1/5 to them of what they export to us. So that is a losing hand for them.
China had a plan.
Guys, do you hear that? We export only 1/5 of what they export to us. Who's gonna be hit harder? It's gonna be China. Guys, these people aren't stupid, guys. And what I love is that for the first time ever, the actual Main Street, guys, not Wall Street, is gonna be winning. And all these Democrats are now flipping the script, and they're now saying, oh, no, we can't do this. We can't do this. And they're literally saying, what? Protect Wall Street? Are you kidding me? Guys, we're living in history right now.
Dump cheap goods into the rest of the world, use the money to build their military, and pass the U.S. as the world's top superpower. But if China can't dump cheap goods here, and we're the world's biggest market, they have nowhere else to sell. They can't sell to Europe. They don't have the consumer power. And they can't sell to themselves because their birth rate's cratered. And once China can't sell, they have to lay off their workers. And the communists don't want 1 billion angry unemployed Chinese. That's how regimes get toppled. But we have to let Xi Jinping lose face gracefully. A quick, violent death makes us collateral damage. So we have to lower the Chinese casket into the ground diplomatically. While Trump's taxing Chinese products, he's kicking them out of the hemisphere. Pistol Pete's down at the Panama Canal today, flexing the Monroe Doctrine.
The United States of America will not allow communist China or any other country to threaten the canal's operation or integrity. I want to be very clear. China did not build this canal. China does not operate this canal. And China will not weaponize this canal.
China bribed the Bidens, but boy, did they pick the wrong horse. Trump knocked the big guy out, and now he's wrestling their precious TikTok away. And Beijing's on its heels. Breaking China also guts Russia. The Chinese can't fill Putin's shaky economy, so now that Trump's engineered oil down to $60 a barrel, Putin's war machine's going to take a hit. Russia's influence in the Mideast is weaker than ever. Their proxy in Syria got picked off, and their other proxy, Iran, as we speak, is surrounded by 2 U.S. aircraft carriers, the USS Truman and the Vincent. Oh, and we have B-2 bombers waiting at Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean, while Trump's chief negotiator, Steve Witkoff, starts bargaining with the mullahs. Now, if they knock off their nuke program, we can bring Iranian oil back online and drive the energy prices down even lower. That'll hurt Putin, bring rates down, and take the edge off any inflation that the trade war triggers. And Europe knows where its bread's buttered. They can't afford their socialist welfare states without the American security blanket. And we're not going to give them that little blanket if they don't drop their tariffs. And they just said...
Guys, let me tell you this, guys. Look at this. If this isn't meant to be, Trump pushes back on rebels, Republicans over the tariffs. But we are winning. Why would they want to stop Trump when we're winning right now? We're not only winning in the stock market, we're not only winning with all these countries and tariffs. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Put it in the chat. I want to see what you have to say about this, because what should happen to these rebel Republicans? Should they be primaried? Should we kick them out? Because right now, when people are back on their heels and we're going in for the win, they're trying to put up a bill to side with Democrats to try and block Trump's agenda. What the heck is up with this? If you don't mind, guys, doing us a huge favor, hitting that thumbs up like button. Guys, Trump is moving forward at lightning speed, but I'm just so flabbergasted that we're seeing so many Republicans actually siding with Democrats now to take out Trump.
They're willing to go down to 0 tariffs. And if they kill their VAT tax and sprinkle in Greenland, we could have a deal. America dominating the Arctic is necessary for international security. And world peace costs money, which is why we need Ukrainian minerals. Who else does the world want on top? Us or China? Trump's logic is that China doesn't have the cards, and they're bluffing. China wants to make a deal badly, but they don't know how to get it started. We're waiting for their call. It will happen.
Let's go.
And China can't afford to play the long game here because the rest of Asia is racing to negotiate with us. The Chi-Coms are isolated, and they know it.
President Trump made it very clear that the era of American economic surrender is over. President Trump is no longer going to allow American workers and companies to be ripped off at the hands of foolish trade practices that shipped away millions of high-paying jobs and hollowed out communities across the country.
Trump could go to China like Nixon did and rewire the world all over again. Give Xi a soft landing, let him put out domestic propaganda like he won, who cares? Now, I don't know if any of this is going to happen or how it's going to end or when it's going to end. But I know every phone at the White House is ringing.
We're managing a massive number of requests for negotiations. It's actually logistically quite challenging just to go through them. It's something that I've been spending a lot of the time this morning doing, because at NSC and NEC, what we have to do is prioritize the meetings for the president, and there are so many to go through that, you know, we're actually getting ready to present a plan and when.
The White House is having to put world leaders on hold. Excuse me, Prime Minister, I have the Chancellor on the other line. What's a good time to call you back? Hungary is actually going around the EU's back and trying to cut a one-on-one deal with us. I didn't even know you were allowed to do that. Ursula's going to be fuming. The Philippines, Cambodia, Thailand, they're all ready to slash tariffs. But Trump's not just handing out deals willy-nilly.
We're taking in almost $2 billion a day in tariffs.
Yes.
$2 billion a day. And we're doing very well. And we're doing very well in making, I call them tailored deals, not off the rack. These are tailored, highly tailored deals. Right now, Japan is flying here to make a deal. South Korea is flying here to make a deal, and others are flying here.
Trump says his call with South Korea went great today. Aside from dropping tariffs, Seoul is ready to invest here and buy American. American companies are investing here, too.
Ford is America's #1 auto manufacturer, and we assemble more U.S. vehicles and we employ more U.S. hourly auto workers than any other OEM. And we want to do more, not less, here in the U.S. 80% of what we sell in the U.S. is assembled right here in the United States. And it would be helpful to have certain parts here in the U.S., and the White House gets that.
If Trump can pull this off, and we hope he does, he'll go down as one of the greatest presidents in history.
Yes.
Maybe it's because he got shot. Maybe it's because he nearly went to prison. Maybe it's his age, or maybe taking 4 years off and coming back on the job. You got a fresh head. But he's going for broke, and he knows how to use power.
He ain't no lame duck. If anything, he's a soaring eagle. Get this. 86% of the American public believes that Trump's approach to presidential power is completely different from past presidents. You can agree or you can disagree with Donald Trump, but what you can't disagree with is that he's doing things very differently. I have used the Frank Sinatra quote before. He is doing it, quote unquote, my way.
Critics on the right and the left agree with the president's goals. Return the country to an industrial superpower for the modern era.
But
they disagree on tactics. Trump says this kind of shock therapy was necessary. It's the only way to bring the patient back to life. And it scares the rest of the world into submission. You can't slow roll it. It'll never get done. Because the next thing you know, here come the midterms.
Guys, and I'm telling you, this right now, like in this first 2 years for Trump's presidency and his team and what's going on, they're calling everybody out and they're trying to expose as many people as possible. Never have we ever had because remember, Elon Musk works for the government right now. He's essentially a government employee who is literally calling out the Senate minority leader of the Democrats and saying that this guy is profiting from government fraud. And that's exactly what he has done. He's called him out. And guess what? Now there's more threats against Elon Musk's life. And not just him, guys. This is nuts. It is literally getting insane for the people who truly support Trump. Look at this. FBI calls for volunteer bodyguards for Dan Bongino. In an unprecedented move, the FBI is seeking agents to temporarily guard Deputy Director Dan Bongino. The Bureau-wide canvass asked for volunteers to protect Bongino 24/7 on a 30-day rotations, departing from the past protocol where the number 2 had minimal or no security. Sources say up to 20 agents may be needed. Guys, this is getting serious because there's so many people that know that they are uncovering the deep state like never before. They're actually going in and exposing them. And not only that, they have the evidence, guys. This is what is changing everything. I bring the receipts, guys. Check this out. You want to know how much evidence they're revealing? Leading report this morning said Senator Ron Johnson and Chuck Grassley sent a letter to the FBI Director Kash Patel and U.S. AG Pam Bondi with evidence revealing that the Biden White House directly helped start Special Counsel Jack Smith's January 6th investigation into President Trump. They've got the evidence. They weaponized lawfare. They did it all against Trump to try to keep him out of the White House. But guess what? Too big to rig. Guess what, guys? I believe God had his hand and protected Trump from getting shot in Butler, Pennsylvania. And now, the next part where we're moving on to, guys, this is getting crazy because what's happening next at the White House? Listen to this.
Mike, one thing I want to bring up in your response to this is that, folks, the president's trying to do the trade deals. He's trying to do the geopolitical realignment besides the economic realignment. He's got so much on his plate. I've never seen more lawsuits. I think there are over 100 lawsuits now in federal courts. Every time, I think there's 7 alone on Voice of America, Carrie Lake tells me. This is just another one. What is your assessment of this ruling today? And put it in the context of just the bombardment. I don't even know how DOJ is fielding attorneys to go in and argue all these cases, sir.
Look, I love Judge Trevor McFadden. He's a good guy. I don't know if this case will get upheld on appeal or not, but I like that President Trump is showing these institutions in Washington, whether they are the law firms, the media, the non-government organizations, the NGOs, he's showing them there is a new sheriff in town. He's not going to play by the D.C. Uniparty's rules, and there are going to be consequences. He's learned his lessons from his first term, and he's not going to let D.C., the D.C. swamp, chew him up and spit him out.
Mike, on President Trump's tariffs, and particularly relating to China and really where he's thrown down hard, the Guardian's reporting that a massive lawsuits are coming funded by the Kochs and by Leonard Leo's new operation. You started in kind of, when you left the government, you did the Internet Accountability Project. You understand the tech bros and people that support them and the libertarians hate what President Trump's trying to do on the trade war and on tariffs. Where is this now? How do we hold off an attack on the right? Because my understanding is I did some checking this afternoon to say that the Kochs and Leonard Leo, et cetera, are going to field a number of lawsuits to try to grind President Trump down, as the left is also.
Guys, and if you didn't know, we are over now, guys. Again, they're coming every day. Over 180 lawsuits against the Trump administration now. Over 180. We're almost hitting the 200 number. Because every single leftist judge, every single Democrat state or attorney general is trying to tie up Trump's agenda in court. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments section, guys, because again, too, we're about to rule on the No Rogue Judges Rules Act, but this doesn't stop attorney generals from Democratic states from suing law and having lawsuits against Trump's administration. And if you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, we're getting into some crazy news right now.
The president has the power to do what he's doing. He's exercising that power just like he promised American voters he would do before they gave him a sweeping electoral mandate. The president is tired of America getting ripped off by these foreign countries. We're paying for their defense. We have trade deficits with these countries. The president is trying to level the playing field. If Europe wants us to pay for their NATO defense, they need to give us a better deal on trade.
Yes.
Mike, last thing I want to talk to you about today. People have been all over me about, because people have been calling the offices, right, directly contacting offices, and they're saying a lot of the congressmen, particularly people who should be the know, are saying, hey, I have no idea what's going on in Judiciary Committee. I have no idea what's going on with these judges. Is it still your belief, as it is the War Room, that we must begin hearings on Boasberg, we must begin hearings on OVERHAUL? If that's the case, what's your recommendation? What do we do?
There's no question that the House Judiciary Committee must open impeachment proceedings on Judge Jeb Boasberg, this radical Obama judge who exposed and sabotaged an ongoing military operation, putting American and allied lives in grave danger, undermined the president's ability to conduct foreign affairs, and even ordered planes to turn around full of foreign terrorists. That is unacceptable. Judge Jeb Boasberg crossed the red line. Even after the Supreme Court slapped him down, he thinks he's going to move forward with contempt proceedings against Trump officials. Hell no. This is the red line. So the War Room posse needs to go to article3project.org, article number 3project.org, and take action. And the action item is to light up both of your home state senators and your U.S. House representative and tell them to open impeachment proceedings on D.C. Obama Judge Jeb Boasberg the clown.
You would think that after this ruling today about President Trump as commander-in-chief, is it still your belief that he's going to proceed? I know he's asked for papers for filings. He's still going to proceed on the contempt charge about did they follow his order at 5:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Saturday afternoon? You still think he's going to go forward with that?
Yes, and that's why the War Room posse needs to...
Guys, let me tell you this. This makes me so mad, guys. I've got to pull this over. I've got to show you what I just found. I hope you're sitting down, guys, because this is why you come here. We show you exactly what the heck is going on with the news and what they're finding with Doge. I'm so mad what I'm showing you right now, guys. Your taxpayer dollars, guys, right here. This is what the Democrats wanted. Doge, the NIH has been quietly funding a nonprofit that sends direct messages to hundreds of minors' cell phones promoting content on, yes, explicit toys. This is where tax dollars have been going to, guys. This nonprofit got $22 million in government grants to teach kids about these special toys. I don't want to say it, guys, because I don't want to get in trouble, YouTube, all this stupid stuff. But look at this. For transgender, you know what? For lesbian, you know what? Sending this nonprofit sent direct messages to hundreds of minors. Cell phones. Is this not mind-blowing? We would have no idea that this even existed if it wasn't for Doge, Elon Musk, and Donald Trump. Guys, this is what the truth is. This is why we're fighting for Doge. This is why we are saying enough is enough. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys, please. Because if we don't fight for this, if we don't fight for our kids, if we don't fight for the youth, then who the heck is? Because listen to this, it's not just that. Our boy Tim Burchett, my representative out of the Tennessee, listen to what he's saying that he's going to be going to do today.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett, going in right here, going in Foreign Affairs for our bill to defund the Taliban. We've been working on it for over a year, and the Democrats have 4 amendments. 3 of them are okay. 1 will just gut the bill, so we'll see what happens. I'll let y'all know. It seems common sense, but we don't have that here.
You hear that? So right now, he posted, he said defund the Taliban is now. The Democrats are trying to continue paying them $40 million a week of our taxpayer dollars, our hard-earned money. $40 million a week we're still giving to the Taliban is what our representative Tim Burchett says is happening. Like, guys, you can't make this stuff up. Like, it literally blows my mind that we're fighting this, but I want to show you this too, because there's been this huge thing of what's going on with the world, and we've got a ton of people that are getting involved with the pit bulls that are coming out to say, you know what, enough is enough. Listen to this.
Look, failure is not an option. You look at the election in November, it is as clear a mandate as we've ever seen from the American people. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I am impressed with in both the Senate and House is I think Republicans understand we have a job to do. We can't screw this up. Now, what is that job? Number 1, the mandate, secure the border. That is the single clearest mandate out of this election. 12 million people invaded this country, and the American people said enough is enough. And I got to say, by the way, my favorite line from the President's State of the Union address is when he pointed out, he said, you know, Joe Biden stood up here a year ago and said he couldn't secure the border without new legislation. Well, it turns out we didn't need new legislation. We just needed a new president. We've seen illegal border crossings drop 98%. That's delivering on results, but now it's our job to come and provide the funding to build the wall, to put in technology, to put in Border Patrol, to put in ICE, to make sure that we keep our families safe and secure. When it comes to energy, the American people are fed up with high energy costs. We want America to lead the world in energy. When it comes to rebuilding the military, you're right, it is a dangerous, dangerous world. And when it comes to the tax cuts, we're going to extend the tax cuts. It's going to be bumpy. It's always bumpy, and it's particularly with the House, which has an excruciatingly small majority. But we will get the job done, because the alternative, if we do nothing, is an automatic $4 trillion tax increase. We're not going to let that happen, because if we do, we'll be failing in our jobs. That is not acceptable. We'll get the job done, and the president won't let that
If the
happen.
House doesn't get it done, they're going to be hurting themselves again, because the sooner we get away from the Biden-Harris economy, the odds go up exponentially that they have a better chance of getting reelected. They're up in 2 years.
Well, and there are lots of trade-offs in it. Look, most of us have been part of the process of
I got to
tax.
take a break. All right, well, more with our panel. We'll get to Senator Kennedy, Mark Wayne Mullen. We're just getting started. As Hannity continues, we're live from our nation's capital. Straight ahead. Thank you for being with us.
So crazy, guys.
Thank all of you for doing this. A lot of senators won't. I appreciate your time. A lot of issues facing the country. And I really do believe that Americans are putting a lot of faith, hope, and trust in all of you that you can get President Trump's agenda that they voted for in the mandate that Senator Cruz was talking about across the finish line or crossing the plane. Senator Kennedy, you make my audience laugh more than anybody. As you examine this issue of reconciliation and the economy and $37 trillion in debt, and then DOJ finding, what, nearly $150 trillion, I think, at this point, dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse, how will all of you with the majority get this under control?
Gosh. Man, guys, if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, again, this transparency, we've never had this before, guys. This is what I'm talking about. Every single thing that they're doing, we're getting to see in real time. Every single week, multiple times that we're seeing them and hearing them of what's going on. But what's even worse, guys, is again, I've got something to show you, because these Republican rhinos, there's these rebels that are standing up, and they're now trying to team up with the dang Democrats to put a bill on the floor to block President Trump's agenda. It is sad. It is horrible. But I got the names for you guys because we need to hold these people accountable.
Well, look, reconciliation is not quantum physics. It's about lower prices. To lower prices, Sean, you've got to do three things. You've got to reduce government spending so you have less stimulus. You've got to deregulate the economy so the price of goods and services go down. And you have to design your tax code that it looks like somebody designed it on purpose to stimulate growth.
Yeah.
Now, reconciliation allows us in the Senate to do all three of those things with 51 votes. And that's really all it is. I want to say a word, though, about tariffs, because that's sort of the fourth leg of this stool. I think most fair-minded people would agree with this. Other countries have used trade barriers to take advantage of the American people and American businesses. Number two, President Trump has said enough. We would not be in this situation today had he not been a pit bull. By that I mean there are 195 countries in the world, 70 are begging him to make a deal to lower tariffs. He's like the pit bull, though, who caught the car. Here's what I don't know what the president's going to do next. Here's what I hope he does next. I hope he takes a deal. I hope he goes to, he and Scott Bessent go to every one of those countries and reduce those tariffs and trade barriers down to zero, and let American businesses compete with those foreign businesses. Competition makes us better.
Yes.
Everyone agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Now, 70 countries, and the EU is now seemingly moving in his direction. I can just tell you, talking to, 25 million people on 750 radio stations every day, when Americans hear that our friends and allies in Europe, I'll give a quick example, and I'll stay with you on this. Okay, Germany, they have a 10% tariff, we have a 2.5% tariff, but they also have a VAT tax, or a value-added tax. That's a national sales tax. So that raises the sticker price of an American car to be sold in Germany by 30%. They sell 8 to 10 cars, German cars in America, to our one car sold in Germany. Why are they hurting us? They look to us for defense. They want us. They'll be screaming, U.S., come to the rescue at a moment's notice. We pay a bulk of the freight when it comes to NATO. Why would they treat a friendly nation like that? Why would other European nations be doing that to us?
Well, I think that's what the president has talked about.
But you agree we're being ripped off?
Yes, yes. Look, China is probably the worst example, but not the only one. God created the world, but everything else is made in China. I mean, we know that. That just reflects reality today. But they're not the only one.
How about gumbo, John? Is gumbo made in China?
But they're not the only one. But because President Trump has done what he's done, and I'm not saying it hasn't been tough with the market, it has been. But we would not be in this situation able to negotiate lower tariffs and trade barriers if President Trump hadn't done what he has done. I just want him to see him turn Scott Bessent loose. He and Scott take them one at a time, and let's lower these tariffs and let American businesses compete with the world, and may the best product and the best price win, and we'll all be better off.
I would like to keep it less complicated, because sometimes there's a few other issues that have been conflated with it. But if it really comes down, Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, good to see you.
Yes.
If it comes down to a simple choice, most Americans agree that we're being ripped off.
Yes.
Most Americans don't like being ripped off, especially ripped off by our friends. But the president has said that if you want free and fair trade, we'll go along with that. If you want tariffs, okay, you tariff us, we'll put reciprocal tariffs on you. If we keep it and reduce it to that simple formula, I believe that's a winning issue. Am I wrong? Deal done.
Well, and take the deal. We're at a fork in the road.
Take what deal?
Take the deal, make deals, and actually work to lower tariffs. Look, we're at a fork in the road, and it's a real...
Lower or reciprocal?
Lower tariffs on both sides. Reciprocal. I'm saying reciprocal, but here's the fork in the road. What do you do once you announce these tariffs last week? One option, and the option that I hope and pray the president takes, is you've got countries beating a path to the White House saying, Uncle, let us up. We'll slash our tariffs. We'll slash our barriers to trade.
You hear that, guys? And I'll have to tell you now, we're getting close to literally over 90 countries. We're getting close to 100. There is 180 countries that Trump put reciprocal tariffs on. We are now close to 100. 97 countries have reached out to the Trump administration to fix the trade agreement, negotiate a plan so that they don't have to incur the reciprocal tariffs. Is this not working, guys? This is what we voted for. This is what's going to make America great again. $2 billion a day. That amounts to almost $750 billion a year right now, as is, with our reciprocal tariffs bringing in a new revenue into the United States, helping us to then reduce the overall dependency on the actual taxpayer of the United States and putting that on the countries that want to buy our goods. Guys, is this not intelligence at the highest level? But it's also, remember, America First Main Street, because that's a new word now, Main Street, the average American, not these Wall Street, not these elitists, not these politicians, not their way, because remember, they don't do America first. They've all bent the knee to every other country and lobbyist, but now we're actually seeing change for America.
In exchange for you doing it. If the outcome of these tariffs announced last week is in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, we see tariffs slashed worldwide. We see the barriers to U.S. farmers and ranchers and manufacturers dropping enormously, and suddenly we're able to access other markets, and these tariffs drop here. That's a great outcome. President Trump has the opportunity for the most extraordinary economic win for the American people right now by making a deal, by saying, let's cut a deal.
Yes.
But on the other hand, and I do want to give a word of warning, there are voices in the administration that rather than take a deal are saying we want to have tariffs as a long-term permanent feature of the economy. I think that'd be a mistake. If a year from now, our trading partners have all jacked up tariffs on America and we have high tariffs on everyone, I think that'll hurt this country. And so what I'm urging the president is this opportunity to take the deal, lower tariffs all around. It's actually what President Trump proposed in Europe in his first term. You guys slash your tariffs, we'll slash ours, and we'll have free and fair trade for everyone. That would be historic.
Senator Cotton, though, if we got them to the point where it was free and fair or reciprocal, at that point, wouldn't America be taking in billions? And one other thing that nobody seems to talk about, I like the idea that our semiconductors will now be made in this country for national security reasons. I like the idea that more auto manufacturing centers will be built in this country. I like that our pharmaceuticals, too many of our pharmaceuticals are made abroad. God forbid COVID 2.0 comes along.
Guys, let me tell you this. You hear it. You see it. We are now seeing that there's rebels within the GOP that are trying to fight Trump and are pushing back on his tariffs, saying they want to be the ones to negotiate. You know why? Because they want to make sure they get a little bit of this, a little bit of the kickback. If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support. Shane MCJ, welcome to the family. Let's go. And Judy Lynn Loving Spirit, thank you so much for the super chat. Said, if God is for us, who can be against us? We must keep our hearts pure. God bless you, Joe, and your family. God bless you, Judy Lynn. Y'all show Judy Lynn some love in the chat. Guys, what we're seeing here is, again, there's rebel Republicans who think that they know better. These are career politicians who have never owned a company. They've never actually been able to negotiate where America's winning because we haven't been winning for a long time. Let me show you just a little chart, guys. This is what it looks like when it comes to Chinese-owned farmland in America. Now, in Florida, they've passed a bill and all the China have to sell their land. But just look at this. I'm not comfortable with this. There is some of this land that is owned near military bases in the United States. Doesn't seem right, does it? Do you think this seems right too? Right here that this came out this morning that $4.6 billion was spent on the feds furniture within these government buildings since 2020, despite remote work, despite less than 5%, guys, 5% of federal employees actually showed up to work. But they spent almost $5 billion on this furniture. For what? Nobody was going to use it. But let me tell you this. Just so happens that you got family members that own furniture stores. You just so happen to have family members that got connections with people that sell this commercial furniture. So we spent money that we didn't need to spend, and it was all connected to people that actually knew somebody that was a politician, there was a congressman, there was a senator. Guys, there was a government official. The corruption is so blatant. It is so out there. And if it wasn't, again, I say this and I'll keep saying this because it's so true and it breaks my heart. But I'm happy that the Democrats are in decline right now because if they weren't, they would be in charge and we would be losing exponentially. Listen to this.
Democrats still haven't figured out why they got rocked in November, so they're blaming racism.
We chose a felon who is more interested in loyalty, who's more interested in retribution, who's more interested in grift than in democracy. And we chose a felon because we didn't want to elect a black woman.
Americans voted for strong leadership, and Democrats don't have it. Pollster Frank Luntz, he asked 15 liberals who their favorite Democrat was, and nearly all of them had different answers. Bernie has the most support, but not by much. Mayor Pete was their second favorite. Oh, dear God. If that's the best Democrats can offer, the party is ripe for an outsider. Mark Cuban's confident he could win the 28 nomination, but his heart's just not in it.
Do you believe that you could beat any Democratic candidate out there?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you run when you have the heart, the intelligence to make a difference, and obviously deep pockets?
Because I think I can really change healthcare and fix healthcare, and I'd rather be on that mission. And when I'm 95 years old and I'm on my deathbed and I'm thinking about life, I'd rather think about those minutes I spent with my kids and the time I was able to spend with them at this age, rather than running around on a campaign trail or even being in the White House.
Wow.
Meanwhile, Stephen A. says he's leaving his door wide open.
But I've decided I'm no longer going to close that door. I'm going to keep my options open. I'm going to entertain the possibility. This is what I do for a living. And if for no other reason than to stand on the debate stage with tens of millions of people watching, where I get to sit back and talk about what you've been doing as politicians to literally dissipate and disintegrate the quality of America before our very eyes because of your own selfishness. Me having an opportunity to do that, that is what I mean when I say I will eat them alive.
Guys, I was actually kind of, becoming a fan of Stephen A. with some of the stuff that he was saying. That guy that just spoke, he was a sports commentator. He came out this morning and said, you know what I would do if I was president? I'd let everybody that came in over the past 4 years, if they haven't broken a law, I'd let them stay. I wouldn't even do nothing about it. If they're criminals, get them out of here. But you know what? The rest of the tens of millions that came in, I'd let them stay. As soon as he said that, I said, oh, nope, not a fan. Don't want them. Get them out of here.
Clock's ticking for Democrats. They better find a leader quickly. If they don't, the loudest person in the room might demand the spotlight. And right now, that person is Jazzy Crockett.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right, right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands. You're not. We done picking cotton.
Wow.
We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
Crockett's not what the left needs.
Dang.
And neither's Tampon, who's finally listening to us.
Hey, everybody. In Wheeling, West Virginia at Coleman's Fish Market. I'm having their traditional fish sandwich, which I'm going to have in a minute, but they got something great on here. Alligator soup. Do an alligator soup and a fish sandwich at Coleman's Fish House in Wheeling, West Virginia. Doesn't get any better.
You see that? He ordered the soup, which, not a good move, but he didn't eat it on camera. Nicely done, Tampon. We'll work on milkshakes next week. But every profile Democrat falls from grace eventually, and the Obamas are no exception. Only 4% of Democrats think Barack best represents their party. And Michelle's new podcast is tanking. No one's safe from the avalanche of new Biden books. And the more we learn, the more we know Biden's never getting a library. In the book Uncharted, Chris Whipple described how Joe Biden was totally out of it during a job interview with a Democrat.
Guys, it was a cover-up. And it's getting even worse. We all knew it. And you're going to love what you're about to see next, guys. I love it. You know why? Because the American people were lied to by every single dang media outlet and Democrat, and they need to be held accountable.
Operative, quote, he wasn't asking questions. It was everyone else, not him. And it felt like they were just trying to cover up that he really didn't know what was going on. And now we're finding out that Biden turned down the Super Bowl interview because his handlers didn't want Joe to face questions about the Hur report. Remember the Hur report? Speaking of which, it's time to release the tapes.
There's been more reporting coming out now about President Biden's decline while in the White House. Is the White House considering releasing the audio of Biden's interview with Special Counsel Robert Hur to the public, which the former president had previously blocked? I don't have an update on that, but I can certainly check. I think the American people would be quite interested to hear that tape, but I'll double check on the release of it.
Congressional Republicans in the White House need to use their power to investigate the Biden cover-up, and they need to do it now. Pam Bondi needs to release the Hur tapes, and Republicans need to start issuing subpoenas. The first person on their list should be Biden's physician, Kevin O'Connor, who wasn't just a family doc, he was a family friend and business partner. So why did he meet with a Parkinson's specialist at the White House? And why did a neurologist make 8 visits in a span of just a couple months? Binder says he was seeing other patients, but we don't even believe that. We need answers, and we need them now. Republicans need to strike while the iron's hot, because the longer they wait, the colder the trail gets.
The colder it does, guys. Because think about it like this. Everybody Everybody knows that what I'm about to show you, it was all intentional. These are the official numbers, guys. The official numbers. New non-citizen Social Security numbers issued. 2021, it was 270,000. 2022, it doubled. In 2023, it doubled. And then in 2024, it doubled from the year prior. This right here, all intentional. Every single one of these people, guys, was intentional. Why? Because they also were registered to vote. And we now know tens of thousands voted. It changed our elections. It swayed in different states where it went either from that was supposed to be red, it went blue. We know that over 90% of these people voted Democrat. This is why we fight, guys. This right here is why we continue to expose the truth. Is because we would not know this if it wasn't for Doge. This is why they tried to keep us out of the systems. But thankfully, an appeals court voted in our favor, and Elon and the Doge team and Trump are able to access and actually audit the Social Security system. You cannot make this up, guys. They told us this wasn't happening. They said it's illegal. They're not allowed to have Social Security numbers. They're not citizens. Well, guess what? They got them. You're talking about millions of people got them. And how many states did we only win by 10,000 votes? 20,000 votes. This is corruption, guys. We're showing it to you right here. I want to say thank you so much, Sandra S., for the super chat. Let's go. Said, I think Trump letting other countries hurt a little bit will give them something to think about before doing it again. Trump says he knows what he's doing. I have no reason to doubt it. Don't bet against Trump and don't bet against America. Let's go, Sandra S. and B1 Sly One for the super chat. Said a little 100 made in America. Money for this month's charity. Keep up the hard work, brother. Let's go. And thank you so much, Andy, for the super chat. I'll check into that, brother. Y'all show Andy, B1 Sly One, Sandra S. some love in the chat. Because it's just, I'm telling you guys, they just keep adding on. They just keep adding on. They want to investigate us. They want to surveil us. They want to know everything about when you spend $600 on a Venmo or a Cash App. The IRS wants to know about it. But God forbid we look at their reports of where the government spends our hard-earned money. Listen to this.
Good to be with you, Greta.
Mr. Chairman, I think it was it was actually, maybe it's not unexpected. Both you and Congressman Jamie Raskin are on the same page about spying on Americans. And today he had good words for you, kind words, reaching across the aisle. What do you think when you heard them?
Well, every once in a while that happens. Left and right come full circle when it comes to civil liberties and protecting our fundamental rights. And we are 1 year away from the 702 program of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act when that comes up for reauthorization. And I want to make sure we get a warrant requirement in there. This giant database of information gets put together when our government is rightfully spying and surveilling foreigners. But what happens when they do that is they pick up Americans as well. And what we've said is if you're going to go search that database, you're going to use an American's name, phone number, email address, you got to go to a separate and equal branch of government and get a probable cause warrant. That's how our great system works. You want to look at someone's stuff, go get a warrant from a judge to do so.
Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments section, in the chat. Let me know what you think about this, because literally, this is where we're at in America, where we're having to now pass a law to try to protect Americans. I'm not joking, guys. Like, this is your text messages, your phone calls, to your bank accounts, to keep the government from reading or looking at all this stuff. They can do it with FISA and you would never know. But now Jim Jordan is trying to fight and say, we need to make it so that they can't do that and they need a warrant. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section about this. And if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support, everybody.
And we want to make sure we win on that issue over the next year when that thing comes up for reauthorization. Because as you know, Greta, we lost, unfortunately, 212-212. And I learned a long time ago, winning beats losing. I hate to lose. And so we got to win that thing We're starting early.
Well, the interesting thing, or maybe the disheartening thing about 702 is that the Americans who are spied on, and obviously we do want national security, we want to be safe from anything that's happening with people overseas against the United States, but we don't even know when we're spied on. We don't even know when our information has been collected. Nobody calls us up and say, look, you know, we caught you on this. So, you know, we have your information even though you haven't done anything wrong. They don't tell you.
No, exactly. All the more reason why you got to have a warrant. So you got to go to a judge and get the okay to go do this. Because what we found is they had all these rules and protocols and things they're supposed to follow. Well, 3 million times that database was searched. And understand this, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, Section 702 says you're supposed to surveil foreigners outside the country for intelligence. You're not supposed to go after Americans. So if you pick up Americans' information, how can you then look for Americans' information if you were never supposed to get it in the first place? Now, the good news is we got a ruling from a district court in New York that said that very thing. How can you then get a warrantless search of information you weren't supposed to get in the first place? So we think we're on stronger ground as we make this argument over the next year. And I am hopeful that we can win this thing next year. But like I said, we're starting to lay that groundwork because we know how this works in Congress. It's going to be a long, hard fight.
Well, the word that they use for the search is something a little bit delicate or soft. They call it a query or something like that when they go through. But who actually gets to conduct, who gets to go checking through the records to see if Greta Van Susten's there? Who gets to do that?
Could be anyone. Could be someone in the FBI. Could be someone in the NSC. Any of our intelligence agencies can do this. So last year we did some reforms that limited the number. We found out it was thousands of people at the FBI who had the potential to do these searches. They did 3 million of them on Americans back in 2021. That number has come down, but it's way too many people. So we limited that. But the best limitation again is to do a warrant. Then you got a judge who's okaying that like it's supposed to be. In our system. So I do think it's interesting. Query is a fancy word for search. They are searching your stuff using your name, your email address, your phone number. If you're going to do that, you got to go to a separate branch of government. You got to get a warrant to be able to do that kind of search.
What's the opposition to doing that? When you said that you attempted to do that last year, it's up for reauthorizations in a year. What was what did your opponents say?
Oh, great question. They say, oh, this will slow us down. This is, you know, there may be an imminent threat. So guess what we did? We said if there's exigent circumstances, if there's an imminent threat, okay, you can go ahead. In some ways, I thought we gave too much, frankly. And but they still like, oh, that's not enough. We got to be able to do this. Big government always wants the convenient route to get what they want, not so much worried about our liberties. And our founders understood, no. We have a Bill of Rights. We have a Constitution designed to protect those fundamental rights we got from the good Lord when he made us. So that is the big distinction here. They will also say this. We collected that information in a lawful way because we collected that information on foreigners, and we incidentally picked up some American information. Well, okay, you might have incidentally picked up American information, but you can't then put it in the database and go search it later when you're trying to go after an American without getting a warrant. And so, again, I think all the arguments are strong on our side. We now have this court decision from a few months ago. I'm just hopeful we're going to win this time.
Guys, this is big stuff, guys, because remember, there has been an overreach of government for a long time. And now I love what I'm getting to show you right now, because when it comes to our hard-earned money that we don't get a choice, it gets sent over to the government whenever you get a paycheck. Trump administration freezes $1 billion in funding for Cornell University, $790 million for Northwestern University. Why? Because they keep fighting Trump on a lot of this discrimination, DEI stuff. Even in Maine, they're still trying to fight him on allowing men to play in women's sports. All this stuff they're fighting. And you know what? I'm glad that they're doing this. This is 100% accountability. This is 100% saying, you know what? You mess with us? You don't think that we're going to do this? Bam, right there. This is breaking news today, guys. That these universities that think that they can discriminate against our own American citizens, whether you're white, black, or whatever, and put in priority students that are overseas, not even from this own country. That's what they're doing right here. It said fewer than 7% of applicants are accepted at either of these schools. Less than 35% of these students are white, and over 25% are in the U.S. on student visas. Again, these universities have decided, do you know what? Let's not take care of our own American citizens, our own kids. Let's bring somebody else from overseas because we get all this extra money from the government under the Biden administration. Nope. Trump said not happening. Not doing it anymore. We are going to put America first, and we're going to make sure that our kids can get the best education without being discriminated against. Check this out.
Years from now, we can all say we were there. We were there to witness 6 days, 6 incredible days of complete overreaction from Democrats in Washington, from the elites in the media, and here we are today, 1 day away from the 1-week anniversary of the famous Donald Trump trade war, which will now live forever in the annals of history, right up there with the Civil War, the First World War, World War II, and now the Donald Trump trade war. Years from now, we'll tell our kids and our grandkids that we remember where we were when Donald Trump started the famous 6-day Donald Trump trade war. Even though it lasted just half the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis, people will forever say yes, but it was more important. Oh boy. You can see how ridiculous this has been and how ridiculous this is becoming. It's not over yet. The markets are going to continue to go up and go down, and nobody likes to see the market go down. But today, the market is where it was exactly 1 year ago today, meaning this asinine prediction from Jim Cramer never came true.
The president doesn't try to reach out and reward these countries and companies that play by the rules in the 1987 scenario. The one where we went down 3 days and then down 22% on Monday has the most cogency. We will not have to wait out too long, will we? We'll know by Monday.
Okay, did you catch that right there? CNBC actually told viewers on Friday to expect a 22% drop in the market on Monday, which of course did not happen. And it didn't happen because the rest of the world needs America. American money, American products, in many cases, American protection, which is why the European Union, again, just made us an offer that we can't refuse. A 0-for-0 tariff offer, meaning no tariffs on us in exchange for no tariffs on them, which means Donald Trump just got America a better deal with all 27 different countries that make up the European Union than America had yesterday, which is something any president could have done, should have done at any time over the last 40 years, but nobody did it because nobody wanted to take the political risk that Donald Trump is willing to take. He is taking that risk. He is betting his legacy on something that Democrats have been talking about for years.
The Chinese have enjoyed a huge trade surplus with the United States, as this chart shows. Every year, it gets larger and larger and larger.
Wow.
Admittedly, some of that trade surplus is due to the rules of free trade. I think the president's doing the right thing. China has been taking advantage of us for two decades. They're stealing our intellectual property, which means stealing our good-paying jobs.
That is currently the most prominent elected Democrat in America, by the way.
Wow.
Democrats have talked about making trade fair for decades. You might remember Bill Clinton talking about NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. We were told it would usher in an era of fair trade and free trade, but that never, ever happened. Take a look.
I go there and NAFTA passes in the House. It will be a clear statement to Asia. Number one, that the United States is not withdrawing from the world. We are determined to be the world's leading economic power by competing and winning, not from running away. Number two, I'll be able to say what I have been saying to the Asians. Asia is important to us, but we want access to your markets. They will see us developing the NAFTA market, which is not just Mexico, it's Latin America, Canada, the whole 9 yards. And that will be enormous pressure on them to conclude these world trade agreements, these GATT talks, by the end of the year. It will also help us with Europe to do that.
That was 1993. Do you remember any of that happening? I remember NAFTA, but I don't remember free trade with anyone, which is because it never happened. Did you know that in the final year of Joe Biden's presidency, the U.S. paid $350 billion to other countries in tariffs, while taking in just $50 billion. Everyone else, again, got $350 billion. America took in $50 billion. Now, who do you think's getting the better deal? Is it us or is it everyone else?
Wow.
Dear Bill Clinton, that doesn't sound like free trade or fair trade. It sounds like America getting ripped off. Your plan didn't work. The president's son, Donald Trump's son, Eric Trump, tweeting today that I wouldn't want to be the last country that tries to negotiate a trade deal with the president. The first to negotiate will win, the last will absolutely lose. I have seen this movie my entire life. And that's what we're seeing right now. It's really a game of musical chairs, not with children, but with countries that are all trying to make a deal with the White House at the same time. The president posting on Truth Social today that I just had a great call with the acting president of South Korea about tariffs, and we have the confines and probability of a great deal for both countries, and their top team is on a plane heading to the U.S. right now, and good things are coming.
Let's go.
And what I've noticed over the last 74 days, again, is the difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Donald Trump clearly has the best interests of America and Americans in mind, everyday Americans, not Wall Street, everyday Americans, while Joe Biden never did. He talked a big game, sort of. He didn't really speak well, but he tried to talk a big game. We couldn't think of a single thing that Joe Biden did that was truly America first or even America second. The CHIPS Act, what did that do? The Inflation Reduction Act that didn't address inflation, appointing Ketanji Brown Jackson, who doesn't know what a woman is, wiping out student loan debt, which is against the law. Was any of that really done for you? We don't think so. And maybe that explains why so many people still support what this current president is doing.
So Trump's presidential power is too much, the right amount, too little. Well, 47% say too much, but then you get 36% who say the right amount. Then you get 17% who say too little.
Add
so you're
those two
essentially
together.
dealing with a majority of the American public, 53%, who do not say that Trump has too much power. They either says he has too little power or the right amount of power. But with the majority of folk, they believe Donald Trump's doing something completely differently, and they don't believe he has too much power. And the executive orders he signed certainly suggest he's no lame duck. He is, as I said at the beginning, a soaring eagle.
CNN just called Donald Trump a soaring eagle. That was this morning. And as the markets continue to go up and down, which we can expect to continue for a little while, there are Republicans out there, establishment types, neocons, the same people who wanted Nikki Haley to be president. Imagine if Nikki Haley was president right now. These people are quietly working against Donald Trump, and the Wall Street Journal is one of them. After just 6 days of market turbulence, 6 days of the great Donald Trump tariff war, what is going on right now with the Wall Street Journal? Over the last several months, the Journal has continued to inch to the left. Every week, a little bit more.
Yeah.
Here is a headline today. Donald Trump is trashing America's reputation. His foreign policy is doing irreversible damage to the greatest geopolitical brand ever created. That was in the Journal today. So why is this happening? Well, the Republican establishment always turns on Donald Trump first. Think Mitch McConnell. But why is this happening now with the Wall Street Journal? Well, that's part of a larger story that no one is talking about. The man who owns the Wall Street Journal happens to be Rupert Murdoch, who also owns Fox News and the New York Post. In fact, they are all located in the same building. Rupert is 93 years old now, and naturally he's slowing down, although he does still have all his marbles. His son James, this gentleman here, is now overseeing more and more of the company. And you can see his impact everywhere. Very subtle, but his fingerprints are everywhere. And that's because James Murdoch is not a conservative. In fact, he endorsed Kamala Harris publicly in September. He even said that he would like her to be president. So the man who could one day control News Corp endorsed Kamala Harris. The man who could one day control News Corp and Fox News wanted Kamala in the White House right now. In 2020, according to a report, James Murdoch spent at least $20 million trying to beat Donald Trump. And in February, James Murdoch told Atlantic Magazine, the same Atlantic Magazine that Jeffrey Goldberg works for that, quote, if lying to your audience is how you juice ratings, a good culture wouldn't do that. James, of course, was referring to Fox News. And after January the 6th, in an interview with the Financial Times, that same James Murdoch stated, quote, proof positive that what we thought was dangerous is indeed very, very much so. Those outlets that propagate lies to their audience have unleashed insidious and uncontrollable forces that will be with us for years. And I mention that only because of what we are seeing right now. It's very telling. The markets are down right now, and everyone's blaming Donald Trump. It's because of tariffs that markets are down. This is the first real sign of trouble for the president since someone almost killed him back in July. And it's fascinating to see who is sticking with the president and who is jumping ship. It's been only 6...
Guys, can you believe this? That again, we have rebels that are fighting against Trump. They're fighting against this plan right here. And it's amazing because, again, it's only been 7 days. It's only been a week. 1 week. And look how many Republicans have jumped ship. 1 week. And look how many of them have said, you know what? Let's side with the Democrats. Let's go against Trump because he doesn't know what he's doing. Like they have. That's why we're $37 trillion in debt. That's why we have a trade deficit of $2 trillion every single year. Oh, yeah. They know what they're doing. They have no clue what they're doing. Right here, Trump imposed tariffs on China. What equates to the 104% that you're hearing? Trump put 20% tariffs on China because they allowed the fentanyl trafficking. It all came from China, the most of it. Then he put a 34% reciprocal tariff because they had the tariffs on us. And then he announced the 50% because they put a tariff back on us. So now they're at 104%. It's that simple, guys. We're going to see who has the bigger stick. But all these other countries you can see at the top are now working with Trump, besides China, to help make sure that the tariff is fair for once with our biggest trading partners, guys. And it's about time. Canada bent the knee. Mexico bent the knee. And now the whole world is seeing that nobody messes with the United States. We have given everybody such a free handout for years. Politicians have benefited from it. Huge corporations have benefited from it. Lobbyists, all these people. And now it's time to put Americans first. Guys, just want to say thank you so much to everybody who is watching, to all of our subscribers, all of our viewers. If you're not subscribed, please consider joining our True Life News family. We want you here, guys. We want to grow this community. We want to serve you every day with the top news. It means the world to us that you even give us a chance by watching us, even if you're not subscribed. And just want to say thank you to everybody. If you don't mind doing us a huge favor, hit that thumbs up like button. To all of our members of the channel, to everybody that's given a super chat donation, I want to give some love. Thank you so much, April Green, for the super chat, who said, if my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven. And I will forgive their sin, and I will heal their land. Amen. And again, thank you so much. You said, poor president is fixing everything that was broken. Team MAGA, baby. Y'all show April Green some love in the chat, guys. Want to also give some love to Shane MCJ, Judy Lynn Loving Spirit, Sandra S, B1 Sly One, Andy, Edward Craney. Welcome to the family, brother. And guys, just want to say thank you to everybody who's watching. We're only going to be doing this for a couple more weeks of doing a different show on Wednesday. We are going to have, again, an earlier show on Friday this week just because of some personal matters. But thank you for supporting us. Thank you for liking these videos, for sharing these videos. We want to bring you the truth, and we want to show you the breaking news as it's happening across the board. No matter where the truth comes from, we want to bring it to you guys. We love you. We appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.